Hello friends, welcome to Silan Software and Java 8days.com. So in this video, I will explain one TCS interview question, especially on the topic multi-threading in core Java. So the question is, what are the different approaches to create a thread and which approach is better and why? So very simple question. And this point is coming from the topic Java multi-threading or thread concurrency. So there are multiple approaches. So I will show you basically three approaches. Then I will explain which approach is better and why. So here simply I will use a notepad as my environment. So the first approach is create a class which extends thread class so this is my first approach. So class name, suppose let it my class name is suppose my thread extends thread is a built-in class. So here I can say my thread is a child class or subclass, and my thread name is my thread, or we can say a thread, basically user defined thread. Here is nothing but my thread. This is my thread name. So this is the first approach. I will create a class which extends thread class. So that's why I wrote class name extends thread class. Now the concept tool. So this is a class. We can declare any number of variables. We can define any number of methods. But one point is mandatory. The concept is saying to fully define a thread, we have to define a method. So that is a run method. So whatever the method you define, there is no problem. But when we are going to represent a thread, it is mandatory that we have to define a run method. Run method basically it is a built-in method, and we can say it is an overridden method because run method already available in thread class, also runnable interface also. So same property again we are using in child class. So that's why I can say run method is an overridden method. So run method definition representing the job, because a thread is representing a task. A thread is representing a job. Suppose one task, suppose I am representing, suppose let it int k equals to 1, k is less than 5, k plus plus. Suppose I will write one output statement, system.out.println. Suppose I will write Java programming. Okay, so now this is my run method definition, and that is nothing but one for loop I define. So 5 4 times. If I will write k is less than equal to 5, so let 5 times Java programming will print. So now I can say I defined a thread named as my thread fully. So it is the definition of a thread. So in this way, we defined a thread that is my thread. My thread is our name of the thread. So it is nothing but a child class. Then I will go to main method. Suppose let class name, let thread example one public static void main. So string args. Then so in main method, first line is the object declaration. So I will declare an object, class name, object name equals to new class name. So obj is the object of my thread class. So we can say obj is called as thread instance. Okay. Now, after declaration of an object, so I can write obj after object declaration, object dot method name. Because we know in object oriented programming, when a method is invoking by an object, then method definition executing. So I can write obj.run method. But particularly in this context, instead of run method, I will write start method. So like run method, start method is also another built-in method. There is a close connectivity in between start method and run method. So that connectivity is what? When start method is invoking, then run method definition executing. And you see, start method is invoking by the object obj. Obj is the object of my thread class. So definitely the control will go to my thread class run method definition. You remember. So when start method is invoking, run method definition executing. Then if I will suppose, if I will represent another task, suppose let it end I equals to 1, I is less than equal to 5, I plus plus. Suppose I will write system dot out dot println. Okay, suppose I will write Java is simple. So this is my another task I presented. But after invoking start method by the object obj, so what I did, I presented another task. 5 times a message will display Java is simple. So now currently we have two tasks. One task is 5 times Java programming will print. Another task is 5 times the message Java simple it will print. So in main method or after method invocation by the object, so whatever the task I presented, so this is the task of main thread. So it is a multi-threading concept actually. So here I am trying to represent multiple thread. So this is one thread. So this is one job or one task. A thread representing a job. This is the job of my thread class, and this is the job of main thread. Every program having a default thread, that is a main thread. So in main method definition, if any task we are presenting, so that will consider as the job of main thread. So in this way, this is the one approach that we can create multiple threads. Now you see, so I will save this program. So class name dot Java. So I will go to A drive and I will go to one folder, Java programs folder, and thread example one.java class name.java. I will save. I will go to command prompt. So I will go to A drive. I will go to Java programs folder, and here I will compile Java C space file name, and I will run Java space class name, and you see, so I got the output for Java is simple, then Java programming, Java programming, Java programming. So here from the output what we are observing, first main thread have executed, then my thread have executed. Okay, so guys, this is the one approach. This is the first approach that we can create a thread. So approach is class name, extends thread. So create a class which extends thread class. So this is approach one. This is approach one. So I hope everybody got clarity. Then after approach one, then we will go to approach two. So approach to same way. Approach to approach to is what? Create a class which implements a runnable interface, implements runnable class and interface. Relationship is implementation. So I will create a class same way. Class name. Let my thread implements a runnable. Runnable is a built-in interface. Same way. So now my thread name is my thread. Same way. So concept is saying it is mandatory that we have to define a run method, public void run method. So run method basically it is an overridden method because run method also available in runnable interface. Again that property we are using in my thread class. So for that reason we can say run method is an overridden method. And here run method definition representing a task same way. Suppose I will write for int I equals to 1, I is less than equals to 5, I plus plus 1 for loop. Suppose I am continuing. Suppose I will write system.out.println, let a message, suppose hi. Okay, so now this is my thread. This is my thread. Okay, so simply what I did, simply class name implements a runnable interface, and inside the class now my thread is an implementation class. In approach 1 we saw my thread was a subclass. Now in approach 2 my thread is an implementation class. So a thread is a subclass, a thread is an implementation class. A point is right. So then class thread example, then main method public static void main string args. Okay, then okay, so then we will declare an object my thread. Let object ob suppose equals to new class name my thread. Okay, now I will write ob dot start method like previous example. But here there is a constraint. If I will write ob.stat method, so ob is the object of my thread class. My thread is a which type of class? It is a such class which is implementing from runnable interface. So guys, you remember runnable interface have no start capability, means start the execution of a thread. Okay, so here this line will not work. Okay, so ob.stat method if you will execute, then run method definition will not execute, because a point you remember, runnable interface have no stat capability. Only thread class object you have the stat capability. So what we will do? So I will create a thread class object. We know that thread is a built-in class. So I can write let thread t1 equal to new thread. Okay, then I will I will do connectivity in between OB and T1. How? So I will pass OB here. Now when I passed OB here, now T1 representing the properties of main thread class, because object containing class property. So now OB is the object of my thread class. So OB is containing my thread class property. Whatever anything is present inside a class, that is the class property. So if we what I did, I declared a thread class object, that is T1. Because why I am taking a thread class object? Because thread class object having the start capability. So if I will write T1 dot start method, then run method definition will execute. So how T1 and OB I will connect? So in thread class object declaration, here I passed OB. So OB is containing my thread class property. So when this line will execute, now OB will assign to T1. So now the T1 will contain my thread class property. So after that, if I will write T1 dot start method, then this run method definition will execute. So overall, you remember, when start method is invoking, run method definition executing. So then, so another task, if I will write here, so int, suppose let it j equals to 1, j is less than equals to 5. Let another loop variable j plus plus, and suppose message is hello, suppose. Okay, so this is the task of main thread. Okay, so now I will save thread example2.java, because main method present under which class, that class name dot java is my program name. So class name dot java, and I will do all files, and I will save. Go to command prompt, CLS for clearing screen. I will compile Java C space file name, then Java space class name. You see, so in this way, so we got, so previously, like approach one, first main thread have executed, then my thread have executed, then my thread have executed. So I hope everybody got clarity. So this is another approach. This is another approach. So this is another approach to create a thread. So in if I will compare in between approach 1 and approach 2, so approach 1 is very popular, but better, which approach is better? You remember, approach 2 is better approach, because so you come to approach 1. In approach 1, so in this line, Java, since Java does not support multiple inheritance, so we cannot extend another class. So class name extends thread class. So that class my thread never extends from another class. So now, because now this line representing multiple inheritance, but multiple inheritance not supported by Java, immediately it will give the error. So in approach 1, the class main thread extends thread class, but the main thread class never extends from other classes. This is a boundary. So this is a disadvantage, means less functionality. But in approach to, once a class implements runnable interface, so apart that this class can implement from n number of interfaces, there is no problem. So in this way, I will say approach 2 is better approach than approach 1. Apart that, we can create a simple thread using also lambda expression also. There is no problem. So, but basically, when the concept of multi-threading coming to our picture, basically we use two approach, either approach 1 or approach 2. But approach 3, so you I can show you, there are multiple approaches using lambda, expression, suppose if I will write class name, let's suppose I will write simple one thread, suppose I am creating public static void main, a string args. Okay, so if I will uh, directly, if I will write a thread class object, let thread class name object name suppose equals thread equals to new class name, thread class name, new class name. Okay, so new class name, and here write a lambda expression. I will write I will write a lambda expression. So how? Suppose one output statement. Suppose I will write system.out.println. Suppose let it suppose one message. Suppose I will write let thread is running. Suppose whatever within double quote whatever I will write, same message will display. And here another bracket. Suppose I am specifying. So if that bracket here, if I will write, suppose here for this one bracket I am doing, I will explain what I wrote. Okay, so then directly thread object is thread. This is the thread object, thread class object. So directly thread class object dot start method. Okay, suppose this is the way that we can create a thread. So the meaning is what? What is the meaning? Meaning is okay. So meaning is, so this is a lambda expression. This is a lambda expression. Okay, and which provides a concise way to implement the runnable interface. So the meaning is in runnable interface run method. So how the lambda expression defines the behavior of the thread, that is what printing the message thread is running to the console. Okay, and the start method that we knew when start method is invoking run method definition executing. So when start method is invoking, so actually internally what is happening, JVM is allocating a new call stack for the thread, and run method is the property of runnable interface. Run method of the runnable object is executed in the new thread. Okay, so directly calling thread.run method would execute the task in the main thread instead of creating a new thread. So thread runs with the main thread, and as a result the thread is running that message that it will what print in the console. So what I told actually overall, so thread dot start method, when a start method is invoking, then we know run method definition is executing. But here there is no run method, we have not defined explicitly. But when start method is invoking by the thread class object, then run method of the runnable object is executed in the new thread, because already we have created a new thread, class name object name equals to new thread. You see, suppose if I will save, so class name is main dot java, and I will do all files and I will save. I will go to this java c space this space main dot java and java space class name main. So Java, sorry, somewhere I pressed. So again, I am going to command prompt. It drives cd space Java programs folder. So I will copy the class name Java C space file name and Java space class name. And you see the output is thread is running. So simply here, one thread I have created actually. So how to create a thread? Thread, thread object, new thread class. So that means here we got an idea. So a thread class object. a thread class object when we are creating thread is a built-in class name object name equals to new class name. So when an object of thread class we are declaring, so that is representing a thread, and body is because a thread is representing a job, so explicitly we have to represent a job. So here how I have presented, because lambda expression means what? It is an anonymous method, the method without name. So here run method explicitly we have not mentioned, but body we have written. So that is the advantage of lambda expression. Code complexity will reduce. It is an anonymous method. Method name we have not identified, but expression we have written. This is the body. Body is one message. Thread is running. So now this part will execute. Okay, when now when start method is invoking, so how is start method I will call now by the thread object. So thread object is thread dot start method. So when this part will execute, then this part will execute. As a result, we got output thread is running. This is another approach, but this is a simple one thread I created. One thread I created using lambda expression. But popular is approach 1 and approach 2. So when the concept of multi-threading coming to our picture, basically we use approach 1 and approach 2, and in comparison in between approach 1 and approach 2, so approach 2 is the better approach than approach 1, because here a class implementing runnable interface, and this class is able to implement from other interfaces, whereas once this class extends thread class, this class never extends from other classes because Java does not support multiple inheritance. Apart that, we studied another approach, or simply if a thread class object I am declaring, that is representing a thread also. So I hope everybody got clarity. So this is one of the simple interview question, and that question was the interview question of TCS recently. So guys, I hope everybody got clarity. Thank you.